in Ilife and those participating online from various corners of the globe. Your expertise and experience are what will make this conference a success. And I encourage each of you to actively engage in the conversation and workshop throughout the next few days. That's fully today and tomorrow. We have scheduled this conference to have a full day today and tomorrow. Yesterday we came in and we had a welcome mapping party just to introduce us into what state of the map is all about, and especially around the OpenStreetMap. As section will explore the intersection of technology and sustainability, featuring motivation in AI, drone mapping, and open geospatial platform that are transforming how we view and manage our world. We will also hear inspiring success stories, gain new insight, and create lasting partnership that will drive the future of the spatial development in Nigeria and beyond. On behalf of Unique Mappers Network and our partners and the LOC that have actually worked very, very hard to ensure that this conference become a success, I want to thank every one of you for your enthusiasm and commitment to this vision. Let us make this the most of this opportunity to share knowledge, collaboration, and push the boundaries of what we can achieve together. Once again, I welcome you to SOTM Nigeria 2024, and I look forward to engaging with you all as we chart a new path for geospatial innovation and sustainability. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the National Coordinator Unique Mappers, Dr. Sunday, for that wonderful speech. And while the speech was going on, okay, he has stepped out. I was going to introduce again the Deputy Executive Director. It's okay. When he comes back, we shall do that. Okay. The next item we go straight without much ado is the Goodwill message. And these Goodwill messages will be delivered to us in the person of the National Coordinator of the Unique Mappers Network, in the person of Dr. Victor Sunday. A round of applause again for him. A round of applause for him. Do not be tired. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one of the Goodwill message from Nigerian Cartographic Association. And on behalf of Professor M.L. Riwani, the National President of Nigerian Cartographic Association, we want to extend our sincere gratitude to Unique Mappers for their outstanding efforts in organizing the State of the Map Nigeria Conference, AFRIGIST. Your dedication to promoting open mapping, geospatial awareness, and the OpenStreetMap community is commendable. This conference has been a vital platform for collaboration and knowledge sharing, marking a significant step in advancing geospatial technologies in Nigeria. We appreciate your hard work and commitment, and we look forward to future collaboration in strengthening the geospatial community in Nigeria. Thank you for your contribution. That's from Riwani, Professor Riwani ML, NCA National President. And with this, he also extends the invitation to the 45th International Cartographic Conference that is coming up next week at Mina, that's Food Mina. And so he requested that we should let all the participants know about this conference, and the registration is still on. And so on behalf of the president of JOSIN also, who also requested that we should extend his goodwill message to the conference. He actually would have been here, but because of other tight schedules, he is not here. So he is also sending his well wishes to all participants, and he wants everyone to have the collaboration, the fruitful deliberation at this conference. In our program, we also have this invitation to the conference of the JOSIN. JOSIN is Geoinformation Society of Nigeria. And by virtue of the membership of JOSIN, I stand here to also invite every one of you to that conference as the River State Chair for JOSIN. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the National Coordinator, Unique Mappers. Thank you very much. The program is continuing. We move on to the lead keynote speaker for this conference. And the keynote topic we're expecting is artificial intelligence assisted geospatial mapping and modeling techniques for achieving sustainable development goals in Africa. And I want to, once again, our executive director will not be tired of prancing up and down. That's a good exercise for him. So let's welcome our executive director, the person of Professor Lazarus Ojigi, for his lead keynote speech.
Yeah, thank you, MC, for giving me the opportunity. I'm told that the time for this presentation is 30 minutes. So I've been, rattling my brain and how I'm going to complete this presentation. It's not just a presentation, it's also some elements of lecture and teaching inside. However, I will try to do justice to, like you have heard, I count it a great privilege to be called to make a presentation on this. This is a cross-cutting topic, very important for all of us. Anybody on the globe today knows that artificial intelligence is affecting our lives, affecting what we do. It's making our work easier. And then there is a need for us to leverage on this technology to advance the cause of the society, particularly for sustainable development. Okay. God, so the title is Artificial Intelligence Assisted Geospatial Mapping and Modeling Techniques for Achieving Sustainable Development Goals in Africa. The outline like I said, is a cross-cutting topic. So we're going to look at the status of what's happening. Maybe we just changing. It's okay. All right. So the outline as follows: status of maps and mapping Nigeria, artificial intelligence, sustainable development goal in Africa, AI-based geospatial solutions, AI tools, and platforms for mapping. Then the future of AI-driven geospatial world and the sustainable development goals. And I will make a few concluding remarks. The status of map I think we just be concluded. Okay. Now, if you look at this figure 1.1, A and B, that is the map of Nigeria. You know, I'm starting from home. I'm talking about Africa. But let's make reference to Nigeria, where all of us are very familiar with. The one on the left-hand side, A, is the physiographic map of Nigeria. That's the map that shows the physical conditions, the topography, the rivers, the highlands, and the boundaries within where those things exist. If those information you are looking for, if they are not available, you will not be able to plan. You will not be able to develop. Then if you look to the right, you see a map with what we call fishnet. That fishnet is an overlay of an administrative map of 1 in scale 100,000. It's an index map covering 357 of the same 1 in 100,000. Meaning, if I am going to produce a map of Nigeria, standard map of Nigeria in scale 1 to 100,000, the map, the number of sheets I'm going to have, that is hard copy sheets, will be 357 maximum. Because even if it is a 1/3 of a sheet, you must print it. Even if it's an edge, because you don't want to lose your boundary to any country, you must print it. So that is how detailed a map ought to be. Now, within that 1 in 100,000, you will still need to go in and make 1 in 50,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 2005, and then some 3,000 at cadastral scale. Map is a representation. What does it represent? It represents vector, plan, raster, models, graphs, and numericals. So when we say map, I can even map your movement. I can map yourself. You human being can be mapped because your body can be mapped when you are in a lab. You can be mapped by the time your X-ray is given. Your skeleton can be mapped. Your flesh can be mapped. Your muscles can be mapped. So everything can be mapped. But what matters is the type of systems that you use in mapping and referencing them. So mapping means representing. You are trying to represent the physical feature in a way that anybody can see it. So, and when you represent them, that portion you are showing is in space, either on land, sea, or space. Specifically for you and I, when we mention the word map, then what comes to our mind is the map on our, that is what we are dealing with now. But every other thing can be mapped, meaning that you can scale everything on paper for planning. So what do we map? Physical features, cities, road, rivers, and phenomena, and their temporal variation. That is changes that happen of those phenomena over time. Therefore, mapping and mapping infrastructure in Nigeria are governed by participatory and contributory roles and responsibilities of many MDAs. When I mean by MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. So it's a collective, it's a cross-cutting area that everybody has to contribute. You have to contribute, I have to contribute to make sure we have, but each person has its own mandate defined separately. Now, what are the main map layers? Very many of them. You will find your interest there. You have the geodetic control network map, you have the boundary, administrative map, topographic, geoid, bathymetry. Bathymetry is the depth of the water, cadastral, street guide, navigation, geological, soil, demography, forest and vegetation, land use, land cover, settlement, wildlife, hydrological map that is showing rivers and water bodies, mineral maps, energy and power map, communication map. You know, these are layers. Transport, railway, road, air, and waterways. So you can see that everyone is important in this. You have oil and gas, agriculture, hazard and disaster. In that disaster is a very compound word because it contains a lot of it's fire. You see fire is there, flood is there, earthquake is there, subsidence is there, tremor is there. It's very, very comprehensive. It's a comprehensive word that contains all those landslide. Recently, you heard of a tremor in Abuja, and then if you want to do all those maps, they are under hazard. Climate change variables, environmental maps. You have maps like environmental sensitivity index, then EIA, environmental impact assessment, and then you can do environmental health models, environmental hazard model, environmental condition model. So many things. How can a place be conducive for you? All those ones fall under environmental maps. Crime and security, utility, infrastructure, trade and commerce, socioeconomic variables like poverty. You can map poverty and then begin to show the graph of how poor from north to south, east to west, all across Africa. So you can see a lot of issues that can be mapped. Then you can map employment, you can map development index. How developed is an area, how less developed an area. Then you can even map geographic names. Very important for you to know, very, very important, because if names are not associated with our maps, it becomes empty. The maps will not be making any meaning because anyone reading it will not understand, because map speaks. Now, this, of course, you know, layers of map can be brought together so that map can speak to us. But when these maps are not available in the right standard, you're going to have problem. When they are not available in the right format, there will be problem. When they are not available in the right quantity, there will be problem in planning. Thank God for digitalization, for technology that has advanced. Now we can do a lot of map on the decks. Having data sets, you harvest from OpenStreet, from Google, from using AI technology. Right. This is a typical key map layer with low emphasis in Nigeria and Africa, gravity field model. I have gone across, you see, the only few persons that talk about gravity field model are those who are in the oil field, who are doing exploration. And if they talk about it in the academic environment or in the academic area, is maybe for academic, for teaching and training. But in the actual practice, if you go to an office now, you are looking for, just like you are looking for topographic map, how many places will you get a gravity field map of Nigeria or of Africa? So it's less emphasized, but this same map, very, very important. That one there is for Nigeria. So you can see the gravity variation across Nigeria. So you know that when you have important map layer that is not emphasized, you are losing because you'll not be able to plan properly. So it's important for us to have our maps in the right quality and in the right quantity. Now there was an extraction of this, a small portion of the model. This is a geoid model of Nigeria. Then from this is a gravity model for the eastern, western part of Nigeria, overlaying different. So you can do that for the whole Nigeria and overlay them and stack them. You take gravity, so that will give you a lot of information. But this kind of data set are not emphasized in our society. And this is what you require this for you to do mineral exploration. You require it for you to do mineral exploration. And you require it also to do the exploitation and the management. Now, this is another map. I picked this map from one of the documents we had before. Why do I put question mark there? No annotation. The map was just there in one document. Now, but there are required information on this map that are not available. Title is not there. Location is not there. Except if you know the place. I know some of you will know which map is this one. This is Abuja. This is Federal Capital City. Now, there are no graticals. There are no grid lines. No legend. No scale. No unit. No node type. No producer. No maker. No date of production. No map data source or sources. This is one of the fundamental areas that people commit themselves. Whenever you pick data for a map, it's important that you make reference to the data source because the source is also part of the map production. So you can see how important is it for you to have map giving you information that will make you plan. The specific statutory mandates of the MDAs are in terms with the following. In terms of whatever they've been asked to do. For instance, reference frame. If there's no reference frame, you cannot map because you must map on the same common reference and origin. Survey control network and infrastructure, survey data, data standard and map production, satellite and remote sensing payloads, satellites, primary and secondary thematic data collection. Very important. It's not only data set collected by you alone. You have to also rely on data collected by other sources. Demographic structure, data processing, security and management, geospatial services, spatial data dissemination and access, spatial data infrastructure, advocacy and integration. So everything that all that MDAs are doing revolves around this to be able to produce map that we will use to take decisions. Now, the status of maps in Nigeria at all of the above MDAs, all those MDAs that have to do with those activities, you discover that number one, that the map, they are old and dated. As at some as at 1920 to 1963. And then they're also inadequate and incomplete, and in some cases, inaccurate, and in some cases, they lack homogeneity and internal consistency. When you overlay two maps and they cannot sit, the boundaries cannot lap, the topology is not 100%, you know that something is missing. The scales vary from large scale to small scale, 1 in 2,000, 1 in 5,000, up to 1 in 1 million, which is the Atlas map. Today, digitization and modernization technologies have liberalized the scale problem. So you can even create a map or produce a map in any scale that you like. You just state the scale and the computer will produce or give you exactly what you have, the scale ratio you have stated. Now, what are the challenges of sustainable mapping in Nigeria and Africa? These challenges are very common to all African countries. But to drive it home, let's look at it, Nigeria. Poor funding and mapping initiatives and projects. Poor funding. If you ask for funding for map, It's very low. Look at the budget every year for mapping activities across the country. In some years, no money, no funds allocated. Second problem or challenge is outdated mapping infrastructure and equipment. When you have outdated mapping infrastructure, it's not possible for you to map a place that will show you the institute today as you ought to. Because map speaks. Limited technical capacity. A lot of knowledge is required. And then there is the use of heterogeneous coordinate framework. Somebody is mapping using a different coordinate system in Osun State, another one in Ekiti, the other one in Kwara, the other one in Kogi, the other one in Kaduna. By the time you try to bring all the maps or information generated from your map out when you went to the field, and they are not on the same coordinate system, it will all conflict. Logistic problems in data collection, poor coordination of mapping programs and data sharing, lack of maintenance and update of map data sets. Then we also low-level community-based engagement and integration. We are in a time where people, when you go to community-based mapping, you call it collaborative mapping. You get to get them involved. Let them know exactly what. That's what Google has done over the years. Duplication of mapping effort by MDAs. You see, MDA 1 mapping what MDA 2 ought to have mapped or to have mapped, and there is a waste of resources. Then absence of clear geospatial data standard and governance. The standard is not clear because of the strategy. If there is no specific SDI or spatial data infrastructure strategy, it will be difficult. Then the last but not the least is a non-existence of operational country action plan. Country action plan on geospatial data infrastructure. Some countries in Africa are trying to come up with their own country action plan gradually. So AFRIGIST, we've been able to develop one for Nigeria, which we are going to pass to the Surveyor General of Nigeria to be able to maybe share their work on it and put it in the structure that they prefer before they make such presentation to a UNGGIM. No, I don't want the video yet. Have you gone to my video? No, I've not reached the video yet. You don't need to bring the video. Now, this is what I'm talking about. You have different, that is, use of heterogeneous coordinate system. Let me go back. Use of heterogeneous coordinate system when you have two ellipsoid. Okay. This here you have three, you have red, blue, and black. The black is the actual shape of the earth, while the blue may be representing the ellipsoid for which you are mapping your country, like Nigeria, Clark 1880. Then you have the red one, maybe which is the global ellipsoid. Now, by the time you are making coordinate system referring to a particular local coordinate system, and you now extrapolate direct into the next one, what you have done, you have mixed salt and pepper, and you will not have any good results. In fact, you have confused the mapping system. So it's very important that we understand that we are mapping a different, try to integrate the datum. Now, this diagram is just to illustrate to us that you can convert from one datum to the other. Simply, thank God for computer science and artificial intelligence, we can easily now convert from using those models. Now, here I give this an example of having different coordinate system. What I'm showing on the board here is very critical because in 2012, 2013, we experienced, and even now, we are still experiencing some of these variations. Now you have WGS84 Earth-centered, that's Earth-centered to the center of the Earth, while the Clark 1880 is Minadatum. That means the reference, the topocentric center is somewhere in Mina, vertically over a point in Mina. Now, if you are to rotate, if there is a shift between them, you see the rotation there, the red. So for you to align the axis, so all those axes of the local and the global must align, must be parallel. If they are not parallel, it means the map is distorted. And when it is distorted, it has decreased the size of your area or has enlarged it beyond what you actually you're supposed to measure. So there are about 7 values that are changed. Translation in x-axis, translation in y-axis, translation in the z-axis, and then rotation on all those 3 axes. And then also there is a scale factor. So all those 3, you can see that both of them are not pointing to the same direction. The 2 maps are not pointing to the same direction. They are pointing to different directions. And it was a work we did in 2012 on datum transformation parameter. And then we know that if you have coordinates that are not properly, they are not within the georeference system. Now you can see from Earth center, Earth fixed. This one you see the projection from the center, while the other and the projection for its own center, they are all turning to different sides. So when you put features from those sides and bring them together, they will never align. Some of the key entities in Nigeria that are involved in mapping, there are very many of them. I don't need to list them. From MOSGov to National Space Research to Geological Agency, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, everybody, like I listed the map layers earlier, everybody produces information that is used to produce map, even Bureau of Statistics, because you need those statistics to tie to geographical names for you to know, like you want to map poverty index, development index, and all those stuff. So it is important that we take everybody along in mapping our country. And mapping Africa, of course, it is when you map Nigeria that Africa can be mapped. It's an integrated thing. So if Nigeria is mapped, Ghana is mapped, Mali is mapped, Niger is mapped, Chad is mapped, South Africa is mapped, then we can bring them together. Now there are impacts of emerging technologies on mapping. There are 3 key areas: satellite geodesy and remote sensing, Earth observation, and crowdsourcing. Then we have artificial intelligence and data science. So today I will just dwell on the aspect of artificial intelligence and data science. Now there are when the data is available, because it's a database. So that is the consideration. That is everything about. So AI enables the machine learning. While machine learning is a subset of AI, and it's done in supervised machine learning. We have supervised machine learning. We have reinforced machine learning. And then when you go to deep learning, you have artificial neural network, ANN, and then the convolutional neural network, the recurrent neural network. So in all of this, there are software called neural net. You can develop solutions around that. So if you see that equation, the data science equal to artificial intelligence plus ML plus AI, as AI plus ML plus AI. So this is the whole thing. But how does it affect what we do? Categories of AI, natural language, computer vision, computer graphics, robotics, speech recognition, and you have ChatGPT. Some of you, when they give you assignment, you quickly go to write, ask computer, what can it do? Even on your phone, you type meta AI. You are looking for something to tell you if rain is going to fall. Does it look like rain is going to fall? It's also crazy. It will tell you when rain is going to fall. Then you ask for data. You go out. If the sun is high, is the radiation high? Have you asked your computer? Whether your computer will tell you that will be based on data. In a place like Nigeria where you don't have data, it becomes difficult for your computer to predict such information for you. But if you are in a developed country, they have a database, it will fetch the information and give you the answer immediately. So each category has its own strength and limitation, and they produce different kinds of outputs, such as text, images, audio, robots, and the rest of them. Now, I just outlined the type of AI. The first one is where a lot of things are happening now. Narrow AI, general AI, super AI. The general AI is one we call generative AI, where the can do. So you can create, script, and solve problems. Then super AI is able to surpass the knowledge. It's graduated in that line. But more of what we do now is general AI. The terminal is the self-aware AI. At this point, it's effective. Scientists have predicted that at this point, the machine should be able to think like you and I, to be able to do everything that you are doing or that I'm doing. This is the consciousness of understanding their existence almost like natural mind. So this is about 7 types of AI development. But at this point, I have my own. I say, according to AI experts, this AI and machine learning algorithms are in long way from self-awareness yet. And I said, in my own opinion, this may be the secret of God Almighty. Scientists are saying that it would be impossible for a machine to be able to do exactly what you are. I can't see that happen. No matter what, you'll not be able to go to the toilet. Let them try. I'm part of the science, but I'm just telling you, that's not all AI science. But what we want to do is try as much as possible to reduce the complexities of the problem that we're trying to solve. So there's still so much to uncover about the human brain, the intelligence and human memory, learning and decision-making more. So it is difficult for us. So now for us to use artificial intelligence effectively, we must develop ourselves and apply it for sustainable development in Africa. And how do we develop Africa? That's Africa here. And Africa must develop the physical structure, the environment, about diversity, habitation, land use, all features and natural resources that Africa, God has given to Africa. For us to be able to develop, we will use geospatial technology and modeling with AI capacity, AI techniques now to develop and then produce information that will be useful for planners and developers. Now, of course, you are very familiar with this diagram of sustainable development goal. This was in 2015. The emphasis is to reduce poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all planet people enjoy peace and prosperity. So I will not go time. I won't go through them. Of course, Africa has 54 countries, and each of the 54 countries has unique resources that can be mapped, like I've mentioned in those main map layers. So, an estimated population of about 1.3 and 4 billion people is a large market. So, Africa is a market for the whole world. That is why you see the Europeans are sending satellite to space, and they are sending the data to us. Now, in 2023, created this diagram to show that now one of the ways of trying to manage or sustainable management or development in Africa through geospatial technology is to develop space assets. So many countries have gone to space. So Africa's space resources to facilitate development through space. So Nigeria is part of that. And then this partial data that we collect over Africa, of course, you know it's X, Y, Z, and T. T can be any other thing. You can replace T with any other thing. Z with any other thing. Y, T is constant. We can put T, X, Y, then change the Z. The Z can be height today, can be temperature tomorrow, can be pressure. Then you give a model anything over time. So the three now revolves around one. Then I now said it is important for us to know to achieve SDG in Africa, we need standard thematic maps and geospatial databases that are accurate, homogeneous, and correct. We also need capacity building and capacity utilization. That will not permit me, I would have try to elaborate on the capacity utilization. So we're very conversant with capacity building. But there's a problem with capacity utilization, even in Africa. Collaboration and cooperation, we cannot do it alone. We need to work together. And then the effective use of this to lead Africa's development. Africa has an agenda for 2063. And this agenda 23 is to make Africa a powerful, a kind of what we call a global powerhouse of the future. And to achieve that, we must do it through mapping and examining, exploiting and adding value to man and environment. But the last one is very important. Developing, managing, and conserving African resources for the future. The sustainable development is enjoyed today. Meanwhile, we do not motivate tomorrow. That's exactly what sustainable development is all about. Now, what is the AI-based geospatial solution? We'll just run through that. AI now is now streamlining the processes or the process of geospatial mapping and modeling by automating our activities. Now, the AI system perspective in geospatial mapping, I'm going straight to this is the AI-driven disruptive technologies. Now you have the big data is there, geotagging is there, cloud computing, blockchain, robotics, 3D printing, remote sensing and Internet of Things, drones and UAS. You know the title of the theme of this conference. There's drones and UAS, space and satellite technology, Earth observation, meteorological satellite, communication satellite, advanced camera systems. So survey measurement and scanning electronics, and then space geodesy, positioning, navigation, and timing. Now, the whole of this ecosystem, this forms the ecosystem with which AI has been introduced in geospatial technology. Now, the integration of this is very important because it saves time, saves cost, simplifies functionality, and then create consistency and improve performance. So it makes you and I to work at ease. And then subsequent slides that we are going to see few cases of AI geomatics and geospatial solutions. Things like machine learning by object-oriented program, robotic data survey, automatic survey, smart construction, AI-based UAS drone, and then AI city infrastructure mapping. Precise. I'll just pick one of them. And then now this is the machine learning object-oriented. So this you can pick your system and then just extract your images, extract the features from the images without having to do anything manually. Then you can, with OOP data loaded in your system, that is object-oriented program, you create objects, segment them, create a homogeneous area, and then you can deploy the software and continue to work seamlessly. The benefit of OOP, we are going to look at that. But when you are looking at the benefit, it's just for you to develop your capacity in writing OOP. I know a lot of our students want to run away from colleagues, want to run away from script writing. But the easiest way for you to solve your problem is to write script and then you solve a problem. This is one of the examples, Triple Forensic Reveal software. Now to pick the data, pick the certain image, and on its own recognize features automatically. So you just watch it, and it's picking the image, and then with this you can see you found the place, and then later on you can go on to use the whole object-oriented program to extract your features. That's called feature extraction. This let us play this. Just click on the iPad.
Okay. Yes, sir. This one is system audio. The system audio.
Now, this is what usually someone will go to the field or go to the trial. You are picking data. Now, machines, the total station have been planted on the robot. The robot goes to pick.
A co-worker with the team's so we're going to use the field and that's to provide communication for both spots. Again, you have 7 people on that spot. We want to start around 40 family every week. You would set the exact count and then each week.
Stop it.
So, there's another one, smart construction. All these machines, there's no human being there. You have been controlled, and then you have from space, from the earth, with drone, and we'll talk about very powerful drone. You can automate your data collection and automate your data processing. And then with your with either the object-oriented program that you're creating, or an adopted of the shared software, you can load your data and then automatically compute. And let me go to the once you see the total station that is there, this has been on for the past these are the past of many past 10, 12 years. Total station has been there, what called vectorless total station, for which you can point to. And by the time you mount it at the station, it picks any direction and gives you data without you. Let me brush. My time is up. Let me just cite this example. This is a very high resolution data ABSA. From ABSA, you can actually collect video extraction. This was done by and From this data, something like this was done for Ethiopia and Kigali in Rwanda. So this is a map of building footprints all over, collected by computer, not anybody doing it. And this also is about the climate change information. And because of time, the presentation is actually loaded. I didn't know that the time was going to be this. So the implication of AI today for us to know that our skills will be enhanced, so that we can look at it. If your skills are not if your skills are not built up, it becomes difficult for you to match up to the technology test. So these are the platforms for you to develop the AI, talking about the MATLAB, the Python, R, AI coding software, Open AI. Then you go to the conclusion. I want to do the last thing. That the evolution of technology and AI world are causing changes in global governance and system. It's changing our lifestyle, changing our business model, the professional application tools and uses. All the operational methods are changing, and now it means we must integrate strategies. So this is how today the special technologies are now corresponding in nature with most disciplines. And have become like oxygen. So anywhere you are, you can adopt AI to augment it and then help and advance the spatial mapping and development. Thank you.
A big round of applause for my executive director. That was the blockbuster presentation. The fact that I was seated there, how can I get this thing? It's for the piece of package. If you want that we well presentation and expose us to many areas that we can utilize AI in those special in mapping generally. And in fact, and the cultural extension of our development axis, and I saw an area where this presentation, this thought would actually fit into my own field. So I'm coming back again to learn more. So a wonderful round of applause for the deputy director. He tried his utmost because I know he did so much work there. I mean, probably a 1 hour presentation which he tried to package into this brief what we have experienced. So without much ado, I've seen many presenters telling me, look, what I have here is really much, but we still need to try to manage our time. The next speaker is supposed to be Professor Joshua Ogona, but I'm trying to link up with him. It's not able at this point in time. And we are initially going to go for the group photograph, but I was told again that we have one online presenter who has been born from the United States. And I was also praying about the judges to align for the next 15 minutes. After that, we go for our group photograph. We don't want to keep our executive director seated all day. It was a big sacrifice into the year. So please, we'll link up and they present the next keynote speaker, which we are going on to, supposed to be the person of Adia L. Party, ably represented by Salim God, a global strategic partnership manager in TomTom from the US. I believe he's ready. Is he ready? Yes.
Yeah. So okay, right. So let's welcome this keynote speaker with a round of applause as we listen to this presentation.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna share my screen right now. I hope once you share my screen, somebody can send me a message that you can see, so I can start with my presentation today. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone. My name is Salim Baydon. I am going to back up Hajar Al-Wafi, who is having a little bit of trouble when it comes to the connection. So I will try to speed up with my presentation so that we can just have some more time for the rest, basically. And I have also other engagement. So our program is called Community and Partnerships. What we do is that we are on field.
TomTom, the Geospatial company who has been working, partnering with the we have TomTom that has sponsorship list, and TomTom has the supporting state of Nigeria conference from 2022. Can we just give a round of applause to them? And this year also, they've been on the sponsorship list for growth. If you watch, we have what we call outlets that drives data quality in OpenStreetMap. And they've been doing a lot of work with unique maps in Nigeria. And today, we have Simon Gordon presenting TomTom to present on TomTom was
Okay, can I start now? Okay. Hello, everyone. Yes. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Salim Baydon. I am the Community and Partnership Manager. My colleague, Hajar Al-Wafi, was supposed to be here, but she has some issues with her internet connection. I'm very happy to be part of this today, especially in a very special country like Nigeria. And I hope that if you can see my screen right now, I will start with my presentation. So basically, our program is called Community and Partnership, which is all about, connecting with the communities, making sure that not only that we want to take as a company, but also we want to give back. And that is our message all the time, and to see how we want to enable communities. Going very quick, we are dedicated to make sure that we have a very healthy collaboration with the communities, and we want to make sure that with the comprehensive map like OpenStreetMap, we want to make sure that we see how we can collaborate on different levels, on different features, on different activities. And see how we can go ahead and assure that all type of applications and real life also activities is more or less addressed by the map like OpenStreetMap. Quickly, that what we do on a couple of pillars. So we have events, we host events to encourage community. We do training. We do a lot of face-to-face mapathons and also virtual parties. We share lead with challenges, and we make sure that we have a lot of team, a very impactful team that do validation, map editing, and quality checking. There is also humanitarian editing support, and there's a lot of examples from last year and this year with a couple of countries that got impacted, and we do this in hand with some of the youth mappers chapters and also HOT OSM. And also we do a lot of sponsorship. So whether it's State of the Map, whether it's Phosphor G, whether it's any other more localized or regionalized events, we always be part of it. Next, also what and again, I will not go through numbers, but very quickly, just to show you that Nigeria, by the way, Ghana and Cameroon and a couple of other countries has been very, very active when it comes to editing. So a big applause to you in Nigeria. So it was really, and this is until now in 2024. But I was really surprised to see that Nigeria and a couple of countries in Africa has been very much active. Next, I also want to show you that TomTom has delivered a lot of projects, whether also by sharing leads or by doing a lot of, let's say, edits. So we have been doing buildings, we have been doing road geometry, we have doing some visualization, and also road map, road geometry. So it has been a really fruitful year for us till now. So we have a couple of models that I will go through. So just to show you that fundamentally, as I mentioned to you, we do trainings. We make sure that we are having our foot on the ground when it comes to the community. We want to make sure that it is, we are also impactful of what we do with our different activities, just to make sure that we have our full ears and eyes with the community. Going next, again, just to show you some more examples. So how we encourage community, how we build collaboration. I mean, many of the mapathons that we have done lately. So you can see, for instance, and I'm not sure if the slide, the slide just flipped. So we have a couple of inter-university mapathons in different countries. We also assure that diversity is always respected because it's very important that we also have the genders, having an equal, at least, opportunity to come to our mapathons or our type of work. I just want to also go forward quickly. Next, also when it comes to map editing parties and mapathon again, we have been calling a lot of time on social media about where this is happening, how is it happening, and for what cause, basically. So it's very important for us all the time to have different type of collaboration and different type of editing parties and mapathons to again to accommodate different needs. Next, also I will show how we are supporting mappers growth. So you can see that there is a lot of, and our next slide, once it's showing there's a lot of educational events that is happening around the world. And we have been going to a lot of universities and a lot of educational, institutions. Also, by the way, just for information, we have been going to schools, and we have been going also to, to high schools. So just to show and to try to put the seed inside, the brains of the, the students, is that geography, GIS, everything that is around geospatial is very important for what we do. So that's very important, and I'm going to show you also a couple of examples from around the world and what we have been doing lately. So you can see here, for instance, the International Institute, whether it's in India, we have been also going to countries like, for instance, in Thailand. We have been also going to countries like in Mexico, for instance, and for the first time that we have been really successful to do some of the work for in the campus of the universities. We have been also very much, working with the Ghana Youth Mappers local chapters, whether it's training on MapRoulette, whether it's training on HotOSM, etc. We have also been empowering also tomorrow's map makers. So here in Amsterdam, we have been working a lot with Kodam University, which is the first university in the world that they don't have teachers. So the students, they teach themselves, and they're trying to go to a lot of companies just to show how they can, progress in life. We have been doing some engagement with, for the first time, and also in a couple of countries, like for instance in Kosovo, where many of the participants were students, and more than 60% were women at that time. So it was very much a milestone even for myself. Also, I told you about high schools. So in Italy and also in a couple of other, companies and schools in Europe and Latin America, we have been very much talking to high schools and teach them about what we do in general. So basically, I want to show you a couple of things about humanitarian aspects very quickly because of time. So you can see here about the different editing support that we have given, whether it's about earthquakes, whether it's about mudslides, whether also it's about domestic violence against women, so we can help them to work on some features. Also that we have inclusion of genders, inclusion of different backgrounds to assure that everybody has a piece of the map, and that's very important. Also to show that we very specifically on some of the humanitarian efforts. So you can see that we have been working on Chile for a couple of things, especially because of the country that was very prone to fires and to to other stuff like earthquakes. Also in Turkey, if you remember, some time ago last year, there happened the very massive earthquake, unfortunately, and many other countries in 2023, like in the Philippines, in Asia Pacific, in India, also, by the way, in Africa, where we give all our support to the communities there. Just very quickly, I want to show you the financial part of the support. So you can see here very quickly that we are part of the OSMF Platinum membership. We are also we have done a lot of funding for different entities, and one of them was MapRoulette, so it can stay operational for some time. We have done also a global youth mappers donations also at the beginning of this year, and we have allocated a lot of our of our money going to different. So that's more or less what I want to share. Last one I want to show you is the the sponsorship of different State of the Maps events and conferences. So whether it was in the US, whether it's in Croatia, in different types in Europe, etc., etc. So we have been all around. And also, of course, we'll be very happy to see how we can support with my colleague, of course, Hajar, in Africa. My very last slide, I just want to tell you that if you want to learn more, please make sure that you send me or send us an email through osm@tomtom.com. You can also, by the way, with your mobile phones, check our new website, which is very much still in the beginning. So please, if you have any comments about it, I'll be more than happy to accommodate your comments, myself or my colleague Hajar. Just to make sure that we create the visibility and to make sure that you observe everything that TomTom is doing. So this is it for me today. I mean, I'm more than happy to accommodate some of your questions probably later on. Yeah, again, it is very much. I was very happy to be part of this today, and yeah, wish you all the success. Thank you, everyone.
I've been so visually also a fellow of the certified institute of geographers in Nigeria, which of course I'm also the national technical. So I will just clap for him. Joining us. We have been doing a lot of work in Nigeria in the spatial space and about today.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Oh, you hang out your door.
Can you hear me, please? I'll just like a confirmation that you can hear me, please.
Yeah, I think we can hear you here, but I don't know about those on site, whether they can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'll just go ahead. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. I'm excited that, this subject matter is being treated now, especially at the time when a lot of consideration is being given to sustainable development in Nigeria. All right, to guide my presentation, it's going to be a very short slide, so I can take your questions. I'll just give a very brief introduction about me, and we'll just skip through very quickly with the presentation. All right. Yes, I'm a certified drone pilot, trained by Quest UAV, one of the leading drone manufacturers in the UK. We have approvals by the Office of the National Security Advisor to carry on operations and the utilization of drones in the Nigerian airspace. I'm also a commercial pilot license holder and trained in ISR intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. This has exposed us to quite a lot of happenings in the geospatial industry over the years. I hold a first degree in geography and regional planning, a master's in geographic information system, and a second master's in urban and regional planning, and currently undergoing my PhD at the Bales University of Technology in urban and regional planning. And so we consider ourselves to be a critical stakeholder in this space, having seen that a lot of consideration has to be given to the geospatial information space in Nigeria. Right. The exciting part to us is that Nigeria recognizes the need to develop a framework for governance, and I salute the first speaker. His slide literally took, gave all the focus to all the things that we need to talk about, and excellent, quite detailed, and does justice to this subject. In spite of the slow pace, and you see that in my slide here, one of the first efforts was way back 2002, where the Minister of Science and Technology inaugurated a 10-man committee. That seems to be maybe the best traction that Nigeria has made over the years. So yet we're yet to develop a proper framework for governance and operation. Nigeria is yet to develop a centralized spatial data infrastructure, and I'm particularly excited to hear of the work that is being done in Ife. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is developing a framework for the use of unmanned aircraft or aircraft vehicles in Nigeria. However, we'll see a lot of traction with the adoption of spatial data for planning and economic performance, and of course for sustainability and growth. And we'll be looking at a couple of these things as we go along. This shows the proof of the adoption of spatial technology. In Nigeria, you have the Nigeria Geo Portal, and this is provides some kind of hub for all of the health-related data that one can possibly access in Nigeria. COVID did force us to, step up our games in this space. And, I'm proud and excited to see that Nigeria has taken these really huge steps. I'm also referencing the Sustainable Energy for All portal that is available, and this shows the tremendous work that has been done. Interestingly, the Sustainable Energy for All is one of my case studies that I'll be looking at today, and the kind of work, I was a consultant on that project, and the kind of work that has been done to adopt the use of geospatial information in strategic planning in Nigeria. All right, so we'll look at the Sustainable Energy for All. The goal was, my responsibility was electrification planning, and the idea was to support the government of Nigeria to achieve its policy goals, as was clearly enumerated, outlined in the NREEP. This was a policy put together by the federal government to fast track and leapfrog the adoption of renewable energy and to adopt sustainable energy generation, improve power generation and distribution across Nigeria. One of the goals of the SE for All was also to support stakeholders, which included, of course, the Federal Ministry of Power and Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing at that time, to develop and implement sector strategies, like I said, to leapfrog the performance of Nigeria with regards to renewable energy and power generation in Nigeria. We also had the task of enabling federal government to develop structured procurement approaches for off-grid and on-grid solutions and the standardization in energy efficiency. There were quite a number of things that had to be done, but I've summarized the methodology here. One of the critical things we did was to utilize satellite night light imagery to develop an assumption that any source of light, electricity exists in the area of interest. And so we're looking at specific areas of this country. We looked at Cross River, Niger, Ogun State, Plateau, and Sokoto as sample areas with which to develop the framework of operations for achieving what we call the Sustainable Energy for All. And so to determine if a community had electrification planning, we had to use a number of models to derive that. And so one of that was to adopt the satellite night light imagery. And this enabled us to develop an assumption that there was at least some sort of electricity in that area of interest. We also developed further data, looking at clusters and regions. There was very little data that was available in NEC and in the distribution companies. And so we had to adopt the use of data acquisition and extraction using orthophoto or manned aircraft in some instances. And we did extensive 3D street mapping. So when you use your Google and you see the street view, we did such similar 3D street mapping in order to map the electricity assets across Nigeria. We also developed other models to determine if consumers were connected to the grid or not. Now, I'll just give a bit of background here. And usually what happens generally in our country is that government decides to extend the grid. So, during elections, politicians make commitments and promises to provide electrification in communities. And what they basically do is to buy transformers and provide cables and then charge electric companies to extend the grid. That really is not how things should work. Energy infrastructures have capacity. So a substation is scoped and has a capacity. Transformers, whether high tension or low tension transformers or distribution transformers, have capacities. And so you don't simply just extend the grid. So one of the things we had to do here was to strengthen the distribution companies and the Federal Ministry of Power with the capacity to do what we call electrification planning. Look at communities, look at clusters, and determine what has to be put into consideration if, for instance, a grid has to be extended, if there are other sources of electrification or power generation. So it could be small hydropower systems, it could be solar, and it could be rural electricity using diesel generators or whatever other form of power generation. So these opened up our Ministry of Power, provided the capacity in these agencies and the distribution companies to be able to adopt best breed technology to model the best approach to electrification. And so you will see here that what we did was that we considered electrified population. We looked at this across various parts of the country. We did some kind of analysis to determine, in the case where we didn't have data, to see where grid and those communities overlapped. So we could literally assume, like I said, the assumption initially before groundwork is that there will be some kind of electricity infrastructure in those places. Now, the fact that there's infrastructure doesn't necessarily mean there's electrification, but we could begin to take this from the known to the unknown. What were the other things that we had to do? And I'm glad that, like I said, the first speaker talked about a huge gap in governance and all of what is required for us to sustain this approach to planning. And so one of the things we had to do was develop a governance structure. And we had a commitment of the federal government to implement a centralized data management system. And so, of course, it made sense that there had to be some kind of structure to manage this entire thing. So we came up with the governance structure. We developed the data gathering manuals. We developed the data management and process manuals, standardizing data structure. And, the first I talked about varying coordinate reference systems, variant considerations for data acquisition, varying types of data. And so all of this had to be put into consideration so that once we handed this over to the federal government and the distribution companies, they simply had to hit the ground working. And so we'd also developed a data framework for the CDMS, advised and developed a legal framework for partnerships. So we had the federal government, we had distribution companies, we had the communities, and then we had private interest groups. And then, of course, a framework for capacity development. What were the outcomes? We had substantially improved access to market intelligence to power utilities so that investors can identify areas that are viable for their business models. We had improved electrification planning and monitoring capacity of the federal government and as well as the distribution companies in Nigeria. And so I have put up here, I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with this. I may want to get online. You can find this portal. It's a Nigeria Sustainable Energy for All portal. And you find that this geospatial data sharing platform now exists. And this shows the outcome of the extensive work that was done over a period of almost 2.5 years to 3 years. This again is an indication of the adoption of spatial data, geospatial information for strategic planning in Nigeria. There is a lot more to achieve, no doubt about it, but the idea is to celebrate our little successes. I'll go very quickly, putting time into consideration my second case study, which is a state government. So we've looked at one on the federal level, and then we'll look at one on the state level. So Ogun State in 2002 came up with what we call the land policy. And the idea was to align the economic prosperity of Ogun State and, as a goal congruent to infrastructure, rural development, employment, urban renewal, and affordable housing. They were key elements that the state had to put into consideration. Now, this was a sharp departure from the traditional approach when you hear most state governments say, hey, we're implementing a GIS or we're implementing a land administration system. Usually what they are doing is simply revenue generation. So there's very little investment in spatial data. There's very little investment in cleaning up spatial data so it is usable for transactions. The reverse was the case here. Ogun State took a pragmatic, a slow, painstaking process in ensuring that the foundation was solid enough to continue to build and hand over to subsequent governments. So the idea also was to accelerate development of an efficient land market in Ogun State, to promote a culture which encourages environmental sustainability through efficient land use and equitable allocation of land. Of course, there was the interest in improving, and providing effective land registration and land administration, improve the quality of service delivery, shorten the turnaround time, ensure that the adoption of technology is well ingrained in every implementation. You will agree with me that there are quite a number of factors. So there are the processes, there are systems, and there are people. The people factor is usually the strongest and probably the most difficult to deal with. And so that culture had to be developed such that the entire civil service structure and the public became used to the idea of sustaining this excellent work. Of course, one of the key things was to promote speedy resolution of land-related disputes in a way that instead of going to court and having extended court issues, you could resolve this on the community level or seek alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. And so I'll refer very quickly to a small schematic that describes this. So one of the critical things that we had to do was to look at various data sources, develop what we call the single source of truth. We had to standardize. So you look at the archives digitization. If this picture was slightly bigger, you'll have seen the tattered records. And most of these records were in local origin. And I'm glad that the first speaker did talk about the inherent problems in standardizing survey records. So we had to adopt datum transformation parameters in transforming these archival records from local origin to UTM-31 North, which Ogun State uses. And then, of course, we had to capture various other data sources. Digitize the deed registry. We adopted the use of ultra-high resolution imagery. Most of them were either acquired using aircraft or unmanned aerial vehicles. We developed routable road networks. We implemented geodetic controls. Second-order controls were implemented across the state to strengthen and improve the quality of surveys. And of course, we also implemented the continuously operating reference station. So one of the important outcomes is that we developed a data sharing platform, which we call the web map. And so effectively, we could bring together all these previously disparate record sets, establish a painstaking process of resolving quality conflicts. So like the first speaker did talk about, there were a lot of conflicts, but there was the process put in place to either reacquire the data using the agreed coordinate reference system, or to be able to, improve on this, using the approved processes, respecting and obeying survey standards. And so we had the web map, and I'm not sure if this is really visible to you, but you see we brought together all of the critical record sets, including data from Abuja. So in fact, we had the geology, we had the minerals, had the locations, we had the cadastral information, we had, points of interest, we had routable road networks. And for the road networks, I think that as at last year, there are over 100,000 road networks. And each of the road networks presenting critical data sets, for instance, status of the road, is it active, is it inactive, is it tarred, is it just surfaced, is it, does it have sidewalks, are there drainages, what category of road are we talking about? All such that we could implement what we call the spatial data infrastructure, providing the robust, centralized, standardized, and single source of truth, and enabling other agencies to be able to tap into this, utilize, and in such a way that we call the push and pull. I think we talked about this in one of our last conversations. So, for instance, the Ministry of Works, now had to provide route surveys and ensure that route surveys as delivered by their contractors met the standards and was available and could be uploaded into the cadastral system, and then other people could use it. So the Ministry of Education, for instance, could effectively determine where best to site their schools, determine the distance from markets, suitability. They could look at hospitals, and if there was proximity to waste dump areas, and just providing that framework for strategic planning and decision support. This is a picture of one of the 3 continuously operating reference stations that we implemented in Ogun State to, one, improve the quality of surveys. Our thought was that if we did that, then the base data is correct, and subsequent data that is built upon that will be correct. So we had 3 continuously operating reference stations implemented across Ogun State, one in Abeokuta, one in Ijebu-Ode, and another one in Agbara. This helped Ogun State, for instance, to improve the quality of its boundary lines. And so, if anybody remembers, there was a time when His Excellency Sanwo-Olu visited Abeokuta, and Ogun State formally handed to them the certificate of occupancy for the Iju Water Works. Prior to that, very few people knew that that was within the boundary of Ogun State and was actually Ogun State property. The land was within the boundary of Ogun State. And then Lagos State, that had been collecting taxes within the boundary of Ogun State, began to make refunds back to Ogun State. So taxes are collected, you pay your taxes where you live, not where you work. And for as long as boundary lines were not correct, it meant that there were infractions from other states. Using the coordinate reference, the continuous operating reference station, Ogun State could also partner with the boundary control to also begin to revisit its boundaries with our neighboring countries. So effectively, what all of these projects has done is contribute to Nigeria's ability to meet the sustainable development goals. Of course, like I said, other agencies in Ogun State could tap in. The Ministry of Agric was far more effective in determining and giving out farmlands, was able to keep an effective record of what parcel of land is and what they're supposed to be doing with it. What is the tenure? They could do that. Land records and registration improved significantly, so it meant that property owners could access the inherent value in land. And of course, gender equality, the water board could improve its networks, determining its customers, could access revenue that they could previously not access. And so we can go on and on. Our belief is that forums like this will strengthen the adoption of geospatial information by Nigeria, would help our country leapfrog, understand key elements. One, that there are professionals within the boundary of Nigeria, that there's capacity, and that the federal government and government on various levels, now the local governments have have been strengthened, so they have to commit to the adoption and to the sustenance of geospatial information for sustainable planning in Nigeria. Thank you. I'll take questions.
The theme, AI-assisted mapping and drug open geospatial for SDGs. Here are keynote speakers. And our trainers. See you soon.
academic masters that we run in collaboration with universities. For example, we have one with FUTA that we call MGIT, the Federal University, FUTA Federal University of Technology, Akure. And then another one with a university in Benin Republic. And we have started also with Obafemi Awolowo University here, masters in geoinformation production and management, and another one in information science and land administration. Of course, we also have a PhD program in geoinformation science and technology and sustainable development that we run in collaboration with University of Abomey-Calavi in Benin Republic. Very soon we are starting these programs in geodetic science, MSc and PhD in geodetic science, and another one in hydrography and marine science. We have some short-term courses, and apart from the short-term courses, we have some activities that we carry out with our partner. So the other presentation on the contribution of open geospatial data in Africa is in the framework of that partnership that we do have with one of our partners that we call Digital Earth Africa, just to show how open geospatial data in Africa, open geospatial data has helped Africa or is helping Africa in mapping, because we are talking mapping now, and also in contributing to the sustainable development goals. Now, let me move quickly to the other presentation of the you can change it. Okay. Now, this is the outline of the presentation. First, what is an open geospatial open source data? And then I run through that towards reaching the level where I will introduce our partner. First of all, what is an open geospatial data? It is a type of data that come with what we call an open license. Public or private digital data with an open license that guarantee free access. We have free access. You can use this data freely without limitation or with few restrictions. So there are some that you'll not be able to use it completely, but to some extent, you can be able to use it. Maybe there are some areas that you may not have access. These are just the characteristics of what we call an open data. Openly accessible, openly editable, openly shareable, then openly exploitable by anyone for any purpose. Now, this type of data have some benefits, which are, for example, in terms of decision making, they contribute to the enhancement of decision making. Data driving insight facilitates effective planning and policy making across sectors. Of course, in terms of collaboration and innovation, this type of data also encourage partnership between governmental, private, and community sectors for innovation. And also they provide cost-effective, accessible. They can be used by anyone. They come also with some challenges in terms of data, some of them in terms of data quality, data accuracy, reliability. These are just questions that come in mind anytime we say data is free. Of course, in terms of the use, the privacy issues, for example, the public data sharing, are you allowed to share? So there are some that we ask you to use it after you have fulfilled some condition. but they may ask you not to share it. These are just some issues. Of course, the funding and then the maintenance of this type of data, the technical barrier, the skilled personnel, the analysis. These are some of the key challenges that come with these data. Now, I'm going to, since we are talking on the contribution of the Africa in providing open data, I'm going to present the vision and mission, and then the application of the vision and mission of the Africa, and then the application of open source data as made easy by the Africa. The Africa provide a routine, reliable, and operational service using Earth observation, deliver decision, ready products, enable policymakers, scientists, the private sector, and civil society to address societal, environmental, and economic changes in Africa. And the mission is made to make this data openly accessible and freely available. But boost many researchers and scientists today in marine observation, disaster risk reduction, oil and gas security, and civil protection, and so on. This is the Africa, Digital Earth Africa ecosystem. You see many institutions. Yeah, AFRIGIST is there. In Africa, there are many institutions that participate. AFRIGIST is one of the key implementation partners. And through the data made available by the Africa, there have been some services in terms of image processing, in terms of cropland extents, fractional cover, NDVI, water observations, coastline management, and so on. And there are mainly satellite data that are made available, and it's available through what we call data cube, and using a cloud platform where the data is stored, and then the data are completely free. Even you can use for commercial, you can use them for commercial purpose, and they are optimized Earth observation data for web processing, and then they are really available on. There are some platforms through which you can learn how to acquire to process these type of data. And these data, the objective of using them is to contribute to the achievement of sustainable development goals. These are some of the applications using this data for water bodies. For example, there is a platform that we call water observation from space. AFRIGIST participated in the validation of that data here, and the platform is available on the Africa platform. I mean, the service is available on the Africa platform. In terms of coastline management in Africa, these data also are used to monitor the dynamic of the coastline. Okay. Yeah, still the dynamic of the coastline. Also, in terms of food security, the data is being used to have an idea of the extent of agricultural lands in Africa, and also the vegetation cover in Africa. All these data can be used you can extract them, use them for your area of interest in Africa. I think I will not spend much time on this. I've mentioned the fractional cover, in terms of vegetation cover. In terms of let me come back on this water observation from space. It allows users to understand the location and persistence of waters across the African landscape. And this data is available and services can be developed based on vector data sets from that service. And also you can carry out a time series analysis using the service, and also you can build interface that can enable you to view water bodies and inspect associated time series. These services also are available on that platform. These are the resources where the services can be found with www.digital.africa.org. You can Google it. In terms of partnership, AFRIGIST is working with these organizations. AFRIGIST is their agreement here. RCMRD in Kenya, OSS in Tunisia, AFRIGIO, their logo is there. These are some of our use cases. This was done in AFRIGIST here. We were trying to monitor the changes in a reserve forest in Benin Republic. These are some of the some other use cases that have been developed using Digital Earth Africa openly available data. And for example, 14 use cases have been developed: Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania, Botswana, Uganda, cross-border industry and academic. 7, Senegal, Benin, Burkina Faso, Niger, Botswana, and Kenya. And then, of course, in industry also, some of the data have been used. In terms of impact, I hope you know Lake Chad very well. This is Lake Chad. Okay, there have been also some data of that platform made really available by the DRC have been used to monitor the changes of Lake Chad. Of course, in terms of mangrove monitoring, mangrove vegetation monitoring, people have used it. Have used the data also to appreciate the degradation of mangrove in some countries. This one was done in AFRIGIST before this local area. We use the data made available by the Africa to monitor floods, okay? To monitor floods in the area of Lokoja in Nigeria. This was the flood that happened in year 2022. And Sentinel-1 and 2 data were used to carry out that assignment. Well, there are trainings that are available. Self-paced, free to access full online training. We have video recorded tutorials, manuals are available. Hands-on exercises is also available. They are available both in English and French. And after completing this training, you can obtain certificate of completion, which can be awarded to you. But these training are very interesting. Some are just 6 weeks. If you organize yourself very well, within 6 weeks, you can finish them. So available in English and French. AFRIGIST is planning some other activities, okay? And for the 2024-2025, for example, we are planning a training on spatial agricultural intelligence, which is likely to happen in December, mainly in the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. And of course, a face-to-face training also in French knowledge being planned on water resources management, and an online also is being planned. Of course, the targets, the people the groups that we are targeting have already identified. But if you are interested, you can also let us No. If you want to connect with the Africa, there are links that we put here. This is the website of the Africa and the hub. For example, if you want to have access to the Africa sandbox, the link also is here. So write them through this email. In Nigeria here, the Africa work more. These are our partners, some of our extended partners, ITC, some other organizations. I want to thank you for listening.
A round of applause for Professor Olukoyi once again for that wonderful presentation. You can do better, you can do better. Thank you very much. He has given us that lightning talk and a lot of information that been passed across to us concerning the AFRIGIST and the host of this program. And I believe that you have been well enlightened. If you have any need for further information, it's always around the website I'll be shown to you. You can always go ahead and make your contacts. Okay. Very good. Right since we start coming into this auditorium, I met one person and he introduced himself to me, and he happens to be my namesake also. I said, you are welcome. And he's standing in. The next presentation we're having is the lightning talk on capacity building in space science and technology. In UN ARCSSTE, ACT. Yeah. And it's supposed to be a presentation by Dr. Sheyi Oluwatoyinbo, who was supposed to be the executive director, Africa Regional Center for Space Science and Technology Education at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and in the person of engineer Dr. Festus Olatoyibo. This is his own slot for presentation. He is ably represented by Dr. Adebayo Ojo, the head of Space and Application Division of the RCT. He is in charge, is an expert in remote testing and GIS space application. You are welcome on board. Let's a round of applause to our next lightning talk speaker. Okay, your slide is with them. Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, sorry for the little itch. This afternoon, we'll be looking at the topic capacity building in space science and technology education. So the acronym is ASTI, UN ASTI. The center is affiliated to United Nations of the outer space in Vienna. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So ASTI is one of the regional centers established by the United Nations, United States, United Nations in 1982. That you space 82. That is the Cupios. You know, sir. That was when programs like we run a PGD program where you obtain your postgraduate diploma degree. Then we also have other activities like what we call the Space Outreach Program. Like presently, the World Space Week is on presently. So the occasion runs between 8th to 10th of October every year. So currently at the center here at Obafemi Awolowo University, having the World Space Week. And the theme for this year's World Space Week is climate change. Next center. Next slide. Please, can we do that fast? Good. Okay. So I've been able to establish this before, where we have what the regional centers affiliated to the United Nations, where Nigeria happens to be one of the center. That is African Regional Center for Remote African Regional Center for Space Science and Technology Education. Then we have the sister center in Morocco, which take care of the Francophone. Next slide. Here, ASTI has this mandate. One of the mandates of ASTI is to develop in-depth education, indigenous capacity in core area of space science and technology. And one of the core area is to we run a postgraduate diploma program, an MSc program, also short-time programs. That are short-time courses. Then space education outreach program. Then we also have the R&D department. Next slide. In summary, the mandate is to build critical mass capacity in space science and technology, English-speaking countries, support application for space science and technology for sustainable development, just like the SDG goal that we have been talking about since morning. Then also the center is located here at Obafemi Awolowo University. Then it's also an activities center to NASA. Next slide. Then the academic programs, quickly, let it come up. We have the postgraduate program. In the postgraduate program, we have different modules. We have thematic areas like the remote sensing, geographical information system. We have the satellite communication, satellite methodology, and global climate, space science, space weather, atmospheric physics, air quality, then global navigation system. That's the GNSS. Then this program runs for 9 months, where we have the common modules, then we have the core modules with practicals. Then at the end, the last 3 months, the participants are exposed to projects. Next slide. The postgraduate programs has graduated a numbers of students across numbers of English-speaking countries, Ghana, among others. So this is like a diagram trying to depict those countries. Next slide. Next. Next. So over the years, ASTI has been able to graduate over 600 participants in the PGD program, including all those countries, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Kenya, Liberia, among others. Next slide. So the plate we are seeing there is depicting the recent graduating students that we had for the PGD program, which ended here in August this year, 2024, precisely on the 26th of August. So those are the graduates of the PGD program, and those are the invited guests sitting at the front there. Next slide. Now, apart from the PGD program, ASTI also run a master's program, but in conjunction with FUTA OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University. So in collaborating, we run a MTech 18 months with FUTA in collaboration. That's Federal University of Technology, Akure. Next slide. So we also signed an MOU with OAU in 2020 to run another master's program. And we run, the title of the master's program is Disaster Monitoring and Management and Space Population Study. Those are the two courses presently we are running with OAU and has a duration of 18 months. Next slide. So we also have some short-time courses, 4 weeks, beginner certificate in GIS, that's Geographical Information System. We also have professional certificate in spatial analysis, intermediate professionals, certificate courses in geospatial intelligence and crime. Then we also run space law. There's also space law. And we also have some short courses in global navigation system, that GNSS. And also to add, we're also running PGD in space law that runs for 9 months. Next slide. So for the short geospatial data modeling, development and management, GIS, advanced geointelligence, then duration courses that ASTI also provide. Next slide. Then the admission is going on currently for the PGD program that runs for 9 months. So we run in areas like remote sensing and GIS, space and atmospheric sciences, satellite metrology, global navigation system, then lastly, space law. Next slide. Next slide. Then the space education outreach is another activities of the center. And actually, this is one of our mandate also. Here, what happened is that we have this slogan that we call it Catalyst Workshop, hosting of pupils, students, and having a kind of hands-on also. We run hands-on. Now, in this area, we also have clubs where we have the Space Club. And OAU happens to be the first space club that was established in one of the universities in Nigeria. So OAU, can we just appreciate ourselves? OAU is one of. And we could also remember that, was it last month, we had the symposium. We had the symposium here in this auditorium where we had the Space Club demonstrating their ability. So also under the hands-on training, we had the CANSAT, which was also facilitated by ASTI. We also have the robotic education program, which was also facilitated by ASTI. We also have the zero gravity instrumental project, also facilitated by ASTI. Then we have the Zero Knot program. Next slide. So this is some of the program that has been executed by ASTI, Polarized Space Science. So this is one of the activities. Next slide. Can we move on fast? So, next slide, next slide. So these are like Catch Them Young, where we try to popularize space science to schools, starting from nursery, primary, secondary, up to tertiary institutions. Next slide, please. Also on zonal basis, we have gone across Nigeria where we did it on zonal basis to cover the 6 geopolitical zone, trying to popularize our space program through the outreach program, where we call it Space Education Outreach. Next slide. And next slide. For the Space Outreach Program, students are drawn from both public, primary, and secondary schools. And we are always careful in times of gender bias. Remember that we are UN affiliated, because UN has stipulated it that now for any workshop or programs that we are to execute, we must have female of 60%. It's not 60 to 40. So they want more female to participate in science. So I know we are not feeling biased, but that is the mandate of UN. So also, ASTI carries out presentation, hands-on activities, robotics, drone technology, and space science, among others. Next slide. We are still on the outreach program. Next slide. Next slide. These are all the outreach programs that also ASTI program has carried out other initiatives like performing experiments like zero microgravity with students of different schools, establishing competition, essay writing, among others. Next slide. So this is one of the activities of the Space Club of OAU. Next slide. Now, this is the Zero Knot project that was carried out with ASTI and the Kennedy Space Center, Florida, in United States. What happened here is that is among the catch the program. So these 3 students were secondary school students. The first student is Stella Felix. Stella Felix now has graduated from pharmacy department. So she was the first lady to experience this zero gravity flight at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. What happened is that it's like an empty plane just to experience without, when we talk of zero gravity, you know, actually it's gravity that is keeping you and I sitting here now. If there is no gravity, we'll be doing what? We'll be floating around. So that is the kind of experience they're experiencing there. So we had it twice. That is 2006, 2007, then 2008. So Omolola was the last person. Next slide. Also, the outreach program did not leave out the teachers. Teachers are also involved because we believe we have what they call the trainee. You know, the teacher will be the one to carry on. We will pass the message, but there should be someone to carry on the message. So we also train the teachers. So thereby a curricula was developed so that could be incorporated into science, space science, and education curricula. So this is one of the activities where teachers were involved. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is another area of ASTI. ASTI has other activities, like remember that we have talked about the ASTI is into educational program, outreach program. So we also have R&D department where I belong. So we have some centers under ASTI, Center for Space Science, where we do some observation, weather observations. Like for instance, we have some laboratories here. We have one at Oshogbo here. We have one at Atagungba. Then we have one at Bini, where weather and other atmospheric readings are taken. Next slide. So air quality, atmospheric weather. So these are the names of the lab. Next slide. And for the weather facilities presently in ASTI, we have like 18 GPS stations for weather monitoring, one iSky optical imager, one oscillator, one fabric parota, HF radiometer signal monitor, then low-cost GNSS receiver. We have about 2 now presently. These are some of the facilities presently in ASTI. Next slide. So these are the locations where we have those laboratories across the nation. Next slide. Also this year, before you leave, we have the workshop where we have the air quality workshop. It's an international workshop. We have the collaboration with Penn State University in collaboration with ASTI, where we talked about the purple air, where we look at the air quality. Remember that the type of air that we breathe in is very important to our health. Next slide. So I've talked about this. So we have the World Space Week going on 4 to 10 of October. Next slide. Then we also have international workshop that we have organized. Next slide, next slide. My time is up. These are some of the staff strengths, staff that have benefited from this collaboration. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We also, this year we had the GNSS workshop. Then last month we had this symposium where we talk about Balogun, 7th and 8th Balogun National Symposium. Then next slide. Next slide. Next slide, next slide. Next slide. So we also have partnership and collaboration because we can't do it alone. We have collaboration with GEO, International Committee on GNSS, MSTAT, Samarata Aerospace, and also we have MOUs with other institutions across the globe, including Samara University. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Finally, there's no organization without challenges. Then we also obtain, we have been talking about like the open source data acquisition. We are also in partner with Google Earth, S-Station, USGS, and others. Then there are also other challenges like human capacity, hardware, and data sharing. Then last slide. Thank you very much.
A round of applause to our lightning talk speaker. He has really educated us a lot about the activities of the RCT, their educational activities, training activities on space science, both for students and for teachers, and their collaborations. That's been an interesting time. A good lightning talk. We really appreciate you, sir. Once again, a round of applause for our lightning speaker. Before we go for our tea break, I thank you for your patience up to now. And we just have one more speaker before we go for our tea break. And after the tea break, and today's conference is a long one because we are still going into the academic paper presentation after we come back from the tea break. But before then, we would like to welcome the next lightning talk speaker in the person of Kingsley Chukwu. He will be presenting to us from online. So let us welcome him with a jam of the hand. Let's appreciate him as he come up.
All right, I believe all you can hear me. Thank you, everyone. It's actually a great pleasure to join us on the State of the Map this year. So I am Kingsley Chikachuku. So I'm going to be talking briefly about Unique Mappers Network Nigeria. Unique Mappers Network Nigeria is a dedicated unique action team that actually responds to community development. So we basically base in open mapping using OpenStreetMap in Nigeria. We also focus on mobile data collection and field survey. We also focus on open source geospatial empowerment, and we engage in Fly Lab, that is community mapping, participatory citizen science, youth engagement using open source technology and citizen science. And we also engage in community inclusion, empowerment for sustainable actions. As we are wrapping this,
Okay, so just hold on 1 second, please. Let's get back sound here.
yeah, as we'll be wrapping this year 2024, so we just want to take a moment to reflect on our achievements, and also celebrate what we have done, and also looking forward to have opportunity as we move into 2025. We have engaged in a lot of activities in aspect of mapping and driving humanitarian response in Nigeria and beyond. So since 2017, we have engaged in different action like Map My Village, where we engage in humanitarian response mapping. We provide also access to open data, that is open mapping and open data development. We also have engaged with different stakeholders for SDG data case uses, where we actually contribute to drive different action across Nigeria. And we also have engaged in aspect of using Map project, which we focus with TomTom, where we try to improve the data quality in OpenStreetMap. So we have made a remarkable contribution where our community have contributed to over 286,000 edits, and we have made tremendous contribution on this. And we have also involved in different aspects of contribution, where we have engaged almost 2,500 contributors. And in the aspect of humanitarian response mapping, we have tolerance to, we are driving the tolerance to FGM, that is female gender mutilation. So we have actually engaged different people, different volunteers across in aspect of making sure that we drive out the female gender mutilation in Nigeria. So we mapped and we contributed to data in aspect of making this possible. So we have also engaged you with West and North African Hub of Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, where we launch Map Nigeria Mapathon campaign, and we have actually engaged different communities across Nigeria. For example, in Abi local government of Cross River State, we engage about 180 community volunteers, which map about 23,000 buildings and 277 kilometers of road. And with this, we were able to engage with stakeholders in aspect of data case uses. We have also mapped Soka local government area as well as a result of the Map Nigeria Mapathon campaign. So we mapped Soka local government for driving SDG goals. We have also engaged in other parts of Nigeria, like we mapped Goodwill local government in Zamfara State, where we map for flood preparedness. We have also taken different initiatives, which as at 2023, we worked on about 573 edits as a community, and we contributed about 300,000 buildings, spanning also about 3,900 kilometers of road across different parts of Nigeria. So we have engaged different people. Not just only that, we have collaborated with other nations in mapping some other vulnerability or disaster countries like Morocco, Libya, and rest of them. So we as a community have engaged vibrantly in contributing to humanitarian response, not just only in Nigeria, but also beyond Africa. So we have also engaged community in various mapping like road, building network, and rest of them. So in statistically, so far, unique mappers have actually been engaging in different aspects. From 2017 to today, we have engaged over 6,000 volunteers across the globe in mapping, responding to different humanitarian response across the world. And if you can look at the map I have here, you can see we focus as a community. We are in Nigeria, which is where we base, but we have contributed in different other parts of the world, like in North America, South America, in Africa, in Asia, in Australia. So we have made a very great contribution, totaling about 6,000 plus contributors, which have joined Unique Mappers in driving humanitarian response. And you can see down here by the right-hand side where our contribution per month. So we have engaged different people in making contribution to drive humanitarian action. Then so far, as a community, we have about close to 3.5 million edits, and generally we have engaged about 6,500 contributors across the globe, and we have actually made a tremendous contribution. You can see yearly, we started in 2017, where this is the total number of contributors we engaged. In 2018, then 2019, 2020, in 2021, we made a very great contribution, and in 2022, 2023, and currently we're in 2024. But in total, we have actually engaged about 6,500 volunteers across the world in driving humanitarian mapping projects. And nevertheless, as we are also mapping, we are also involved in community engagement. We have engaged different Mappathon centers, engaged students and stakeholders in driving humanitarian action. So far, we have different Mappathon centers across Nigeria, where we train students in different universities on humanitarian mapping. So you can see we have the Enugu Mappathon Center, which is Lion Mappers Team Enugu campus of University of Nigeria. We also have other chapters in Nsukka campus. We have another chapters in Port Harcourt. We have another chapters in Oyo. So we have different chapters which we drive, and we make sure that we train the communities and engage youth in geospatial mapping. And in International Women's Day, we recognize such, and we also engage women in, join the women in making sure we celebrate the International Women's Day to create awareness, to make sure we have gender equity and then equality and balancing. So in that, we engage in different mapping in Rivers State, Bayelsa, and Abuja. So we also have different aspects, like in Ibadan, we conducted a project in Ibadan, which went down there for data collection. We also have had in community engagement, which we did our State of the Map, a conference in Abuja 2023, where we draw over 150 participants across scientists, academicians, environmentalists, and we were able to come to discuss the State of the Map of Nigeria in Abuja. And that took place last year in NASA. And this is our summit, that is our State of the Map last year. And this is where the picture also speaks about the state of our mappers last year. And this is our national coordinator with some of the community members. This is where the picture speaks. So we have engaged in different aspects as related to humanitarian action. So we also want to take this opportunity as well to express our gratitude to different organizations who have supported us in so many ways, like NASDAQ, like AFRIGIST, HOT, TomTom, Science Scatter, MEA, and rest of them. So we have engaged them in different aspects of which supported us in aspect of our state of the map last year. And then in the aspect of mapping, we also had where we worked for citizen science, where we mapped for Alzheimer with citizen science in United States. So we engage our community, engage them in skills and also driving the community. Then we also celebrated our 7th year anniversary in July 2024, where we also have to map across different Mappathon centers like Port Harcourt, Enugu, Kaduna, Abuja, Nsukka, Maiduguri, and Oyo State. So we celebrated outstanding mapping our activities we have been doing. So currently, we have active about 440 active contributors across the globe which join us. And we also, in aspect of partnership, we have collaborated with different organizations. One of the outstanding examples is NASDAQ, which we had an MOU with NASDAQ. And we also, this is the section where we had our MOU with NASDAQ in Abuja. We also have a collaboration with different other organizations as related to partnership and collaboration like TomTom, Citizen Science. So we have a collaboration which we help in driving open street map or open map development. So we also have a collaboration with West and North African HOT, which have also sponsored one of our we nominated 3 of our nominees, which is community members of Unique Mappers Network. And then he received about 1,200 USD for the grant. So the community also support individuals or volunteers. And then we also have another person which is in Enugu campus, Kale, which was also given an opportunity of funds to work on the research, his research project. So as we are looking up for 2025, so we are going to be engaging more on the Nigeria Mappathons, which we map monthly to drive humanitarian response. We are also anticipating International Women's Day program in 2025. We are going to have more activity or deepen our relationship and partnership with Map Roulette. So we are going to work more on Map Roulette, which we have collaboration with TomTom. So we are also going to engage in citizen science activities. And at this time, we are going to be anticipating the State of the Map 2025. So we are also going to be working with stakeholders for workshop in aspect of data case uses. We are also going to contribute and then complete some of the project, which is also ongoing. And like I said earlier, we are going to deepen our contribution. And to achieve that, we are going to establish more new chapters in various universities, which we are going to use to drive, to train mappers, to engage more community members, to engage more students, to engage more youth in aspect of open matter development. So nevertheless, we also want to talk about highlights on the volunteers which have contributed last year. Last year, we have Jane America, who have an outstanding being the best volunteer mappers of the year. Joachim is also there as a second person, and Mohammed is there as a third person. So we also recognize the people the volunteers who are doing outstandingly great. And like I said, as we wrap up, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate different partners like TomTom, HOT, NASDAQ, AFRIGIST, Science Data, and other affiliate university. And I also want to tell you that we are looking forward for more collaboration, more partnership, more relationship as we move on to 2025. So you can always contact us. Our office is located at Suite 5 and 6 Uniport Mall, that is Abuja Campus, East-West Road, or you can always write to us at our email at uniquemappers@gmail.com. So thank you, and feel free to contact us anytime and become part of our community for us to drive humanitarian action. Thank you. Yeah, I think I don't. Can you all hear me? Seems like there was a disconnection.